In this video, we're going to take a look at the main features of the CIP statement form. Filling out this document is the very first step you should take when beginning a project. Go through this exercise before your project's kickoff meeting and before developing a scope of services for your professional services agreement, if applicable. Think of this as less a planning document which sets any decisions in stone, and more of an exercise which will get you thinking about what you wish to achieve with the project, the timeline and resources you'll need to do so, and any potential roadblocks to finishing the project on time and within budget. Hopefully, by going through the CIP statement form, you will be able to recognize early on if your initial aims are realistic, or if in truth, there's a lot more to be done than you realized or hoped. Let's briefly cover the functionality of this worksheet and then go through a short example. The first step is to complete the first 54 rows of the worksheet. You'll start by giving the project a name, its limits, if this is not clear from the title, and the council goal, which best matches your initial concept. Write a short statement outlining the primary goal of the project, the reasons which led you to start this document in the first place. Later on in the project, you can refer back to this objective statement to guard against scope creep. If an agency or a property owner is pushing you to add a new improvement, does it meet the primary objective of the project? If not, it would be best to avoid it, if at all possible. Write an initial concept down with the scope of improvements you think are likely with what you know right now. This is not a binding statement. After finishing the CIP statement form, you are encouraged to revise your initial scope based on your findings. Next, go through rows 18 through 54 and pick out improvements that you think are likely or even remotely possible as part of the project. It's better to start broad and narrow down later. What you're doing here is flagging which parts of the design checklist are necessary and which items can be removed from consideration. The checklists in their entirety are extremely large documents, but you can cut them down to size here by choosing only what is applicable to your project. After completing rows 18 through 54, click on the Hide NA Rows button. If you made a mistake or wish to add back in a category of improvements, click on the Unhide button. Checkmark what you want to include, and then re-hide non-applicable rows. You are then free to complete the remainder of the document, having cut it down to size. So let's do an example. Recently, the city bid a project for Oakland Road Northeast between 35th Street and Regent Street. We're going to go through the CIP statement form as though we are at the very beginning of the project and flag what we want for the development of that project. So to start out with the name, we're going to do one that would fit well with the titling requirements for projects. So let's put in Oakland Road Northeast from 35th Street to Regent Street Pavement Improvements Project. So the project limits for this are Oakland Road Northeast from 35th Street to Regent Street. If, say, you were doing a sewer lining project where the project limits aren't obvious, this would be the spot where you'd put in the street locations where you're doing those replacements or improvements. Since we kind of envisioned this early on as a street reconstruction project and an opportunity to add in new sidewalks, we are going to list establish a network of complete streets, but really you can choose any goal which closely matches what your initial concept is. So our main goal for this project at the get-go is reconstruct the pavement, protect that investment in the pavement, meaning replace anything underneath which needs to be replaced so we don't have to tear it up later. And also infill sidewalk or fill in sidewalk gaps through the corridor. Okay. So with the initial scope that we have in mind, it's going to be PCC reconstruction, PCC sidewalk infill, ADA ramps more than likely. We'll take a look at doing sanitary sewer and storm sewer replacement extension where it's applicable to preserving the road. They're, given the age of the neighborhood, probably Orangeburg in there. And depending on how much width we have, we'll consider bike lanes. And we can always come back to that later. So since this is a reconstruction project, there's quite a bit that we could possibly or will certainly do. So ADA improvements were mentioned, bike lanes, no bridges in that section, no culvert that I can remember, curb and gutter certainly will be done. Not planning initially to do detention basin or drainage way improvements, but there are driveways facing the project area, at least commercial driveways, not part of FCS, grading, yes. Probably not. There is that gas station at the intersection with 42nd Street, so we might have to worry about tanks, but probably not, but we'll put that in there just in case. Lighting could be a consideration. Definitely pavement reconstruction, but parts of the road might be in relatively good shape, so we could at least consider doing restoration instead of reconstruction for portions of it. We're also looking at reconfiguring that intersection with 42nd Street and Gulf Street, so we can put that in there. No railroad crossings, but it is a neighborhood built in the 1950s and 60s, so Orangeburg could be a factor. Not planning to do landscaping, sidewalks, yes. It's relatively flat in that corridor, storm sewer, yes. And not initially planning to do BMPs, but we could evaluate that later if we wanted to. No streetscaping, not doing any buildings, no signals in that section that I can remember. Not trails to begin with, but definitely tree removals, some water main, and let's just suppose that in doing the sidewalk, we might have to do some retaining wall. Oops. Check mark that as yes. So in this project, almost certainly going to need at least temporary easements. No railroad crossings, however, and no county, state, or federal jurisdiction adjacent to the project area. Assessments, yes for Orangeburg if we find some, and yes for commercial sidewalk if that's an issue. And this question here is asking, is the complete streets policy at all applicable, which is yes. So now that we have this basic information entered in for the project that we conceive just coming right in the door, we're going to hide non-applicable rows. And the program is going to go through the entire document and hide anything that doesn't possibly match this scope. So what we're left with is a reduced checklist that we have to go through, and hopefully saved ourselves a lot of work. Since this is a reconstruction project, there's still quite a bit that we need to go through, and I'm not going to go through each and every one with you to ad infinitum, but I at least want to cover some of these sections. So if you'll notice, the check mark boxes here offer yes, complete, or not applicable. So no is not listed as an option. It's either applicable and you've considered it, and you can mark that as complete having considered it, or you can remove it from consideration. You shouldn't come back and say, yeah, I saw that you have a pedestrian master plan, didn't read it. No, if it's applicable to the project, you need to go through it and see if there's anything that could affect what you're trying to do. In this funding section, can be a little bit tricky. It's kind of a chicken and the egg kind of situation. I mean, in some cases, you will know straight away if you have bonds. You know exactly how much money that you have available to use. So you can know in this particular fiscal year, we know for a fact that there's only going to be $500,000 available. With other funds, it may not be as clear. You might be doing this to get a sense for, or how much is it actually going to cost to do this project. But in almost every case, unless it's an emergency project, the project that you're working on has come up and is included in a 5-year plan, at least in a budget submission from a year or two ago. So ask your city project manager and see what they plugged in for that budgetary figure. It's not a commitment, but it's just kind of maybe an expectation for how much they thought or would be able to commit to this project. So whatever the funding sources are applicable, check mark yes or complete for what you think will be used. And you can mark as non-applicable ones that you know for sure that you're not going to be getting. So we're not going to get any RUT for this project, so we'll mark it as NA, no escrowed funds. And Again, I'm not going to do this whole thing, but if you're not quite sure what these funding sources are, there's a little bit of errata listed to the right, and your city project manager can also help you. We want you to figure out, just rough out a tentative schedule so you can start thinking about what you're going to need to do. Since this is a reconstruction project, it might need permanent acquisitions, maybe even fee title at some of the intersection work. So you need to build out that schedule in your mind. So you know right now where you're starting. So it's November 2020 right now. And we know our goal, we want it to build it, let's say in 2023. So your goal is to start in April 2023, finish by November 2023, and you need to figure out everything else in between. So let's say we want to get design going by January 2021. So we need to hurry up and finish the procurement and consultant selection between now and then. You need to factor in, you're going to do public outreach for almost every project except for the very, very minor ones. You're going to need permitting for this one. Acquisitions very definitely need to build in at least a year for those. Preliminary assessment, very probably. Definitely utility relocations. If we're going to build in spring 2023, let's tentatively set a bid date for November 2022. I don't know if that's a Wednesday or not, but whatever. Prerequisite construction refers to, is there a project that needs to happen before this one? So for example, in the flood control projects, you would need to do maybe the roadway improvements before you do a roller gate improvement, something like that. Not applicable here, but could be in some projects. And this particular project would not have any state or federal funding, which would limit the time at which those funds are available, but you get the idea. You're going to go through existing conditions and state what's out there right now. It's as much a checklist as it is an exercise. So as you go through, you're just going to mark all of these as complete as you get them done. Or if it happens to not be applicable, you could mark it as such. Same with the different pieces of infrastructure. A lot of this you can find in Infrastructure Viewer, or you can also work with the city project manager to find that information. You want to go through your mind and look at the corridor and figure out, what are the businesses there? Are there churches? Is this going to be a route for emergency services? All the possible stakeholders, and get an idea of who they are, list them out, particularly the businesses, and also try to figure out, sometimes there's going to be community events. That there might be a nearby park where there's an annual farmers market or something like that. So plan that out. Think of what environmental impacts you're going to have with this project and choose the applicable ones. Some of these will give you a prompting. So if you know there's an endangered species that lives in this area, that might add extra steps for you. Try to plan out what permits that you might need and what the timeline that you'll need to get those approved. If there's any historical aspects to the project, pretty much nearly every project, you're going to go through the Complete Streets checklist. The Complete Streets policy, which you can go and read, essentially states, we always consider, at the very minimum, consider adding things to make the community more walkable, bikeable, etc. That's not a promise that we're going to add those things, but you should at least consider it. So you want to look through the things like the pedestrian master plan, bus routes, see if there's any potential improvements that we can make that's not going to be an undue problem for the project, right? So where you can, make your project a complete street. Take your time to go through the different master plans, and there are several out there. Depending on the type of project, you might not have to go through all of these. If you're just doing a small manhole replacement project, you could probably skip a lot of these, but go through the applicable ones. Too long, didn't read is not a good excuse. If it applies, read through it, do your due diligence, think of other types of impacts that the project could have, And very critically, map out now what are the different types of utilities that could show up on this project. Get locates, get maps from them, and throughout the checklists, you're going to be keeping track of, how are things going with utility locations, relocations, etc. Once you've done that and you've checked through and checked yes, complete or NA, you can further reduce everything in here by hiding again. And that will take out stuff that you marked out as NA. It will not hide anything that you have not made a choice for. But let's say you made a mistake, and after going through this, he was like, oh man, I think really I should be doing, I forgot, there is a railroad crossing. I just didn't think of it. You can, nothing that you're doing here is deleting anything. You're just hiding stuff. So you can click on hide all rows. Click what it is you forgot, and then hide again. And then that option will become available to you. So you're never deleting anything, you're just hiding. So nothing is irreversible. But that's just a quick and dirty version of things. But take the time to fill this out, conceive of your project, and it will help you in the long run. Thank you for watching through this video. Up next, we're going to take a look at the design checklists and go through the review comment sheets.